Father Greg Sakos, along with Mark Treacy, and our guest is Cardinal Blase Cupich, Archbishop of Chicago. Mark, take it away for a question.
So, Cardinal, we go to St. Gertrude's. We walk into church. There's a no mask, edict now that anybody vaccinated doesn't have to wear the mask. It felt very freeing to be there in that environment, and there were still people with masks. Is that going to change, do you think, with the fluidity you're seeing in terms of this variant? And then how will those decisions, how will you arrive at those decisions, but then how are they promulgated to the parishes?
Well, I surely hope not. I hope that we don't have to go back to those restrictions. And of course, that's why I have to encourage, once again, people to become vaccinated.
Yes,
that's the only way we're going to stop this. On the other hand, if things do surge and we begin to see a variant develop that breaks through the vaccine, then we're going to have to take action in accord with the science and the public health recommendations that are received. We're going to follow the same process. We have a commission that oversees this and advises me, and then we will make our decisions and communicate it to the parishes. And follow the directives of the public health officials. So we're going to go back to what we did before if we have to do that. Yes. We're going to be monitoring how we're going to open schools along the same line.
Yes.
Because there's still some debate of whether or not children who are not vaccinated should wear masks. We're going to look at that and make our own decisions in consultation with public health officials and seeing also what's being done in other school systems.
I do have to say that the Archdiocese, the guidelines have been phenomenal. And I know, Cardinal Cupich, you along with the team have spent hours and hours the last 16 months in the sense of closing, reopening, steps all along the way. And the hours that were spent in just the guidelines given to pastors in the Archdiocese has been phenomenal in terms of the amount of work spent. And we hope and pray we don't have to go back to some of this, as you say, and I think it's all in people's hands. It's all in people's hands right now with those that are unvaccinated. But I felt very safe in the cathedral. And also, to let listeners know, Holy Name Cathedral is wide open, full capacity in all churches, and we are drawing big crowds once again. I'm just going to change gears for a second. I don't mean to surprise you, but Cardinal Cupich, you have now been the Archbishop of Chicago, our shepherd, for 7 years come this November. This goes back to November of 2014. What has, in the last 6.5 years, been the biggest positive surprise for you as Archbishop of Chicago?
Well, I would say that it's not necessarily a surprise because I always had a great respect for the Archdiocese and its legacy, but just to come into contact with the richness of talents that we have in the Archdiocese. There really is no challenge that we face, no problem that confronts us, no opportunity that is before us that we can't seize, that has stopped me from calling on people with the various talents that we have, young and old. We built, I think, a very good team here in the Archdiocese. We have really fine priests who are talented. So I think it's the human resources that this Archdiocese has across the various ethnic groups, where people have come to this area rolling up their sleeves, ready to get work. It really is the city that speaks well of its immigrant legacy, but also where young people are attracted to begin their life by sharing their talents and abilities. So I think I just love being here because of the people.
And also along those lines, Mark, you're going to love the story. When Cardinal Cupich was here maybe about 3 years, about a year after I arrived, we were having breakfast one morning, and, Cardinal Cupich has a great sense of humor, and I said in a very innocent way, Cardinal Blase, you've been here a couple of years now, what's the most commonly asked question of you by the media about being about being here in Chicago? And Cardinal Blase looked at me and said, the most commonly asked question of media to me is, why did I name Father Sakowicz rector of the cathedral?
It's it's one of our mysteries.
Cardinal Cupich said,
Yeah.
do you have any other questions, Greg? And I said, no, that'll do it for now. So
Yeah.
I'll always remember
Well,
that.
it falls out of the rubric. If you don't know the answer, don't ask the question.
Now, I had a question about the Mass on ABC. Cardinal, now I've seen you on WTTW, different and all kinds of different interviews, and they're always pretty straightforward, informational. You're very honest, and all of a sudden you have a weekly presence on ABC, a viewership that's huge. What are your learnings about social media during this time in terms of your role as cardinal here?
Well, I think one of my first learnings that I picked up right away is I have to be really prepared to be able to celebrate the Eucharist and try to distill everything, in 6 minutes, 7 minutes at most. It really does take a lot of work to make sure that you can say something that's coherent and memorable to people. So that has really helped me discipline myself in preparing for those celebrations. The other is that people want me to make eye contact with them through this means, to be able to look straight into the camera and have in my mind that I'm actually looking at people in their own homes. And that is something people have told me before that which they appreciate. And then I think the other aspect of it is that it is uniting us one to another in this virtual way. It is creating a community of believers as people identify and talk about watching the Mass, because I know that people do talk to each other about it. So there is an actual community aspect built into this virtual system.
Now, I know Greg has another question, but I can affirm that because our little 6-year-old, I told you before she was watching the Mass, she connected with you. And that's their generation. That's their communication form. That's
right.
Innate in a 6-year-old. So yeah, it was effective.
Yeah, she sees Cardinal Cupich week in and week out on ABC, and in many ways, you become pastor on a whole different level.
Yeah. Where
people 250,000 see you weekly on Channel 7, and plus our YouTube at the cathedral. So it makes a huge, huge difference. We need to bring this part of the program to a close. Cardinal Blase Cupich, want to thank you very much for being our guest the first half hour here on Catholic Chicago, and safe travels as you come back to Chicago. And God bless you. You are truly a shepherd in Chicago, visionary, hardworking, and don't lose your sense of humor.
And give the Holy Father our best, okay?
I will. He'll appreciate that very much. He's recovering well from his surgery.
Oh, good.
And he's, as you saw from the audience for the Angelus this weekend on Sunday, he really seems to have a very strong voice and is recovering well. Thank you.